Good morning, all. I am here to present review 2 for the subject Transport Planning and Management. Our topic is Urban Transport Planning System, and our group members are me, Gaurav Singh, Varnit Bansal, and Akash Gaurav. So let's get started with the topic. So, before coming to the topic, it is important for us to understand urban transport in India. India's transport sector is large and diverse. It caters to the transport needs of 1.1 billion people. In 2012-13, the sector contributed about 5.2% of the nation's GDP, with road transportation having major share of it. Services and manufacturing industries particularly concentrate around major urban areas and require efficient and reliable urban transport systems to move workers and connect production facilities to the logistic chain. The urban transportation issues are of foremost importance to the support of passengers and their mobility requirements of urban agglomerations. Over the past few years, cities have witnessed a rapid growth of motor vehicles with private cars as the most important contributors. Moreover, motor vehicles will remain the increasing trend in the future or develop even faster if no further constraints are adopted. Meanwhile, traffic congestion will deteriorate due to imbalance between demand and supply. In order to deal with these problems, we propose some strategies in terms of urban planning, infrastructure constructions, and transport management. So you can see in these pictures how the urban transport planning in our country is going nowadays. So what are the issues with urban transport planning in our country? Road congestion. As population increase, the average travel distance as well as intensity are expected to increase as there is a direct correlation between the two indicators. Average trip length for metro cities including Bangalore are over 8 km, while it is 6 km or less for all other metro cities. This trend in a trip length and frequency is only expected to increase with increasing income levels, migration, participation of women, and a service oriented economy. As more people travel over long distances on regular basis for employment and education purpose will increase the road congestion. Now coming to the second point, parking problems. The acute shortage of parking spaces both on and off the street in Indian cities increase the time spent searching for parking spots and include major congestion available. Data shows that a high proportion of Indian streets are facing with on-street parking issues. This problem is especially acute in smaller, compacted Indian cities. Delhi has 14% of the road lengths used for on street parking, while Surat has almost 60% of its road length blocked on by on street parking. Air pollution. According to US based Health Effect Institution, people residing within 500 meter from road are exposed to vehicular fumes. The danger is especially pronounced when diesel vehicles are operating, as diesel emissions are known to trigger adverse respiratory health effects. Deteriorating road safeties. The high dependency of migrants on non-motorized transport mode such as walking and cycling cause traffic mix in common roads, where fast moving motorized traffic shares the road with slow moving modes, leading to an increasing number of fatalities and road accidents. In most Indian cities, non motorized modes like cycling and walking presently share the same rights as the way cars and two-wheelers, leading to unsafe condition for all. Again, the last point in this is large slum population to be resettled. In India, we are seeing that a large population is residing in the slums. As we are seeing in Maharashtra or Mumbai, you can say that a major part of the main Mumbai is being settled by the slum peoples. So it is again very difficult for the government to face these issues and just solve these as quickly as possible. This graph shows that how the number of the vehicles, or you can say basically two-wheeler vehicles and private cars, are increasing day by day. Now, coming to the challenges to the urban transportations. First, gap in law and regulation. There is no legislature at center, state or local level that comprehensively cover urban transport requirements of Indian cities. The current system of law, regulation and governance for urban transport are the legacy of an era when Indian cities were sparsely populated and had not yet witnessed the kind of transport problems they are encountering today. Many acts that are in place today are the legacy of the British Raj, and a few of these have evolved to address specific issues in urban transport, resulting in fragmentation or overlap of jurisdictions. Distorted land market affecting transport infrastructure development, very high cost of land acquisition. This is time consuming process as well as a major barrier for transport planning integrated urban transport infrastructure. About 70% of delay in all infrastructure projects in 2008 were due to the problem related to land acquisition. Comprehensive design standard for transport infrastructure lacking. Again, this problem is common with the design and the standards which we are using in our country. We are just trying to give the tenders to the smaller constructors, and we are not giving much emphasis on the design standards as how they are going to build the road for us. Absence of reliable transport data. The absence of database with scientific management and analysis of urban transport statistics has severely constrained the ability to formulate sound urban transport plans and reliably assess the impact of different projects carried out in the cities. The reliability and accuracy of even the available data is suspect at present, since much of the data collected is either part of the specific study or collected with a specific project mind. Secondly, available data is scattered over a multiplicity of different agencies and often difficult to obtain. Thirdly, the data is neither collected regularly nor kept up to date, which is a limiting factor for larger policy and planning functions. Energy security. This is again a major concern for the country like us. The production of the crude oil in the country has increased at an average annual growth rate of 1.6% from 2000 to 2010, whereas the consumption of petroleum products over this period has increased at a rate of more than 4% annually. This reserve to production ratio of crude oil in India indicates enough reserves for 30 years, whereas this ratio for the worldwide indicate enough crude oil to last for 46 years. India has become and will continue to be increasingly dependent on imported crude oils if necessary steps are not taken quickly. This is the graph which is showing how we are using the crude oils and the petroleum related products increasingly in our country.
Now in this slide we look into the key elements of urban transportation system. These 7 points are the key elements. First one is integrated urban land use and urban transport planning and development. Next one is priority to public transport infrastructure, NMT and pedestrians. These three, transport infrastructure, NMT and pedestrians, were uh, were given the more importance while designing the urban transportation system. And NMT generally means non-motorized transport. Third one is door-to-door approach. This generally means people should reach their destination at very less time and in easy way. Fourth one is traffic management or road safety. This generally tells number of chances of accidents should be minimized. Fifth one is demand management. Demand management generally tells the designed urban transportation system should be used by most of the people of the city. Next one is coordination among fragmented institutions. This generally means the designed urban transportation system should have the routes which include most of the fragmented institutions of the city. And the next one is increasing financial mechanism and resources. Now we are going to discuss about Janmarg. If we talk about urban transport planning system, we can't avoid the case study of Janmarg, a metro experience on road through technology innovations. Janmarg is also known as Ahmedabad BRTS. BRTS generally means Bus Rapid Transit System, and this design is proposed by CEPT University in 2008. These are the various aspects of case study: bus design, bus station access, access to bus, junction management, integrated transit management system, automatic fare collection, automatic vehicle location, passenger information system. All these three comes in the integrated transit management system. New integrated transit management system. Now let's discuss more in detail about these aspects. Let's first talk about bus design. Bus design has limited capacity with the manufacturers. Bus is designed into three categories: low floor, semi-low floor, high floor. Low floor has a height 380 mm, it has a high capital cost, high operating cost and inefficient movement space inside the bus. In the semi-low floor, it is a 650 mm height, it has a moderate capital cost, inefficient movement space inside the bus. In high floor, 1150 mm height, and it has a high station floor, longer ramps leading to higher station cost and constraint on station location. Ahmedabad Municipal Corporation, with technical support from CEPT, after a series of discussion with manufacturers, operators and technical experts and due consultation with the state government, Ministry of Urban Development, designed a new bus with 600 mm to 900 mm floor height, both side wide, central door for Janmarg BRTS. Let's talk about bus cost. For non-AC plus diesel 21 lakhs, and for AC plus diesel is 26 lakhs. Bus is adopted as a standard bus and most cities are considering this as a suitable. Next aspect is bus station access. Bus stations are accessed through zebra crossing. It is signalized and synchronized with junction signal cycle. It also provides closed bus station and off-boarding ticketing, in which it provides safe and secure environment. It also provides both the side ticket windows. It also provides access control through flap barriers. It also offers off-board ticketing to reduce dwell time and plug revenue leakage. Now comes to the third point: access to buses. It is the place for two buses on either side, controlled through station door. It has a level boarding of 900 mm, and it also has a floor projection by 250 mm for easy access. Bus and bus station door controlled through radio frequency wireless switch, which is operated by the driver. If we talk about the sequence, then bus door opens and then the station door opens. If we talk about bus docking control system, then bus docking controlled through radio frequency identification device, and it has a 400 mm longitudinal door alignment, and in transverse direction it has 225 door alignment. It has an acceptable range of 2 inches, and warning is given up to 4 inches. And the application which is underdeveloped is warning signal at subways and depot access. Next is junction management, which also called area traffic control system. Area traffic control system in place covering 93 junctions. Additional 55 junctions under implementation. Each individual intersection is provided with loop detectors which are installed beneath pavement layers on each arm. If no vehicle passes within a gap time of 3 seconds, only signal turns red. BSNL play a vital role for collection of data, signal coordination, connectivity with server. Maximum cycle time is 120 seconds. Buses to get priority, 2 greens of 12 seconds in one cycle, and 2 in 2 phase signal system for more than 4 arm junctions. Next is integrated transit management system. It includes 3 aspects: automated fare collection system, automatic vehicle location system, and passenger information system. In automated fare collection system, it facilitates the purchase of prepaid tickets and their subsequent use through electronic systems to permit access from the transit stations and buses. Paper ticket, smart cards, and tokens are implemented from January 2011. In automated vehicle location system, allows central control room to monitor all the vehicles and their performance related to on time, speed, as well as operator performance. Two-way information broadcast service also be provided with the between the bus and bus station operators. In the passenger information system, advanced information is managed on the arrivals, departures, next vehicle, next station display announcements. Now next point is new integrated transit management system. It generally includes the vehicle dispatch and scheduling system, depot management system, bus terminal management system, and financial management system. Now we go for the next slide. In this slide we all see that there are 3 pictures. The first is the low floor bus, second is the flat floor, and third one is the semi low floor bus, as we discussed in the bus design. In this slide we are going to talk about radio frequency identification device based bus docking and automated door operation system. As we all see Ahmedabad BRT station layout, in this layout as we see these 4 red square indicates the RFID reader, and in the bus RFID tag is installed, and near the bus driver RF based means radio frequency based remote door operation switch in series with bus door switch is available, which is only operated by the driver. And here we all see 900 mm read range is given, and 400 mm horizontal tolerance is provided. As we all see here, RFID reader and RFID tag both should be aligned in the same line so that it can sense. And as we all see, one BRT station has 2 doors on each side, and same system is followed on the other side of the BRT station. In this slide we are going to look into the lane distribution near the BRT station. As we see, these 2 lanes are providing to cross to reach the BRT station, and here this is the synchronized signal providing for safe pedestrian crossing, and this blue cross section is the BRT station, which is a median station, allows for easy transfers. And as we notice, this blue cross section, as we go further from this BRT station, the cross section is goes on decreasing, and this lane is goes on increasing, means this lane is providing for more space for mixed traffic at intersection. From here now Varnit will take over.
Hello everyone. So my topic is World Bank engagement in urban transportation system. So what is World Bank? World Bank is an international financial institution that provides loans and grants to the low and middle income countries for the purpose of pursuing capital projects. World Bank has been a major investor in transportation sector in India. At present, it has around 10 projects, which include 7 state projects and 1 each for national highway, rural road, and urban transportation, with a low total commitments for the transport sector in India as of June 2011 is around $5.9 billion over spread across 14 projects. In India, it is estimated that for the next 10 years, there will be around 500 billion investment from World Bank in the transportation sector. So, its basic objectives in India is to help India develop an urban transportation system that is that that provides access and mobility for all. It provides a transport system which is clean, safe, and economically sound. It not only promotes development of the countries but also of the people. Now, and the services it provides should be affordable to end users as well as the government. World Bank support instruments to the different countries are in terms of 1.1 investment lendings like loans. So these what are these loans? According to World Bank, these loans are the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development IBRD loans are public and publicly guaranteed and debt extended by the World Bank Group. IBRD loans are made to and or guaranteed by countries that are members of the IBRD. It point two, it also helps in development policy lending like grants or loans. It also provides technical assistance to different countries in terms of grants, loans, or staffs in the rural or urban sector. It also point four, it also provides GEF grants. Go to the next slide. Now, what are the World Bank's priority areas of support? That is basically most important areas of support. One, public. It basically main aim is to provide public transportation infrastructure, services, and regulation for all. Point two, it also ensures a sound traffic management policies and its instruments. Point three, World Bank not only ensures motorized transportation facilities but also extends help towards non-motorized transportation facilities such as sidewalks and bikeways. Point four, it also ensures integrated urban land use and its transportation planning. This is a very broad term which involves consideration of economical, environmental as well as social factors. It also involves broad stakeholder participation. Point five, it also helps in planning for major urban transportation investments, which consists of one, which consists of A. Consideration of alternative land use impacts. B. It also it also ensures improved travel demand and traffic analysis. C. It also calculates and evaluates environmental, economical, social, and financial impact towards a country. D. It also ensures financial instruments and capital investment programming. Point six, it it provides it ensures fuel and vehicle technologies and urban air quality management are up to the par of international level for all the countries. Point seven, it also ensures good capacity for GOI, state and local institution officials for its aid in any development activities. Now we come over to examples of World Bank's efforts in India. 1. Mumbai Urban Transportation Project. Mumbai is India's commercial and financial center and one of the most densely populated cities in the world. The city heavily relies on public transportation with about 80% of all motorized trips being undertaken on public rail and bus services. World Bank since 2002 has supported Mumbai's efforts to plan and develop its infrastructure. The first Mumbai Urban Transportation Project increased the number of suburban trains, and introduced more and more comfortable and ventilated coaches in railways. It also improved, this project also improved the east-west road connectivity and also ensured a good modern traffic management system at key congestion points, which covers around half of the city, as Mumbai is very packed in terms of traffic. Another example of World Bank effort, World Bank signed a 147 million loan agreement to improve the urban services in Jharkhand. This loan aims to improve water supply, sewerage, drainage, and roads and strengthen the capacity of Jharkhand in urban infrastructure. This agreement was signed on June 24, 2019, has a grace period of around 7 years and has a final maturity of about 22.5 years. Another loan agreement was signed between World Bank and Rajasthan State of India. Under this, a 250 million US dollars loan was given to support the development and management of Rajasthan's state highway network. It was signed on June 27, 2019. The main focus of this project was to support the construction, upgradation, and improvement and maintenance of around 766 kilometers of state highways and major district roads. It also focuses on enhancing the road capacities, road qualities, and institutional capacities to manage the strategic network of the state through operationalization of the state's road network. Another effort of World Bank was World Bank signed a 400 million US dollar agreement with the state of Uttar Pradesh to develop safer, resilient, and greener roads. This agreement was signed on October 11, 2019. Here is a very good photo and an example of the task of safer, greener, and resilient approach to be accomplished by the Indian transportation sector. The objectives of this project was to help the state PWD build and develop greener highways which are resilient to the effects of climate change. It also uh, ins- it also aims to reduce fatalities such as road deaths in the state. Another point was to provide employment opportunities for women uh, as well as all the civil works department. It also aims to provide training and capacity building for PWD staff on asset management, contract management, and environmental safeguards. It also aims to build capacity management systems, strengthen the road safety cell, and establish highway police for the first time in the state. Now we come towards the conclusion of this presentation. It has become very clear that massive urbanization and transportation problems will be one of the mightiest challenges that India might be facing in the near future because of its ever and fast growing population. So, for an urban transportation solution to be effective and efficient, it has to keep hand in hand with the urbanization. That one thing that our governments as well can do is to promote for promoting mass mobility is to ensure efficient public transportation system and encourage commuters to opt for public transportation modes rather than private vehicles for better traffic management. Another characteristics of urbanization has been the growth of satellite towns. Satellite towns are such that, for example, like the laborers coming from the side urban areas as well as the rural areas have been incoming towards the cities for better employment opportunities, which has been creating an absurd amount of different traffic issues which which needs to be corrected efficiently as well as effectively. So we need to find immediate solution to enable the movement of these people from these peripheral towns towards the main work centers for their livelihood. Another point is that while formulating these transportation solutions for urban areas, one should not only look within the city, but should aim at connecting all the urban nodes centering that city. Our local governments as well as civic authorities have already realized that these intelligent, sustainable, economical, and environment friendly traffic management systems is the need of the hour for ensuring a better lifestyle and public health safety towards its citizens. Thank you.